It's a great honor and a privilege to introduce Tzvi Lemberger. We're here in your beautiful apartment in Yerushalayim. So Tzvi, you originally from Antwerp, from Belgium. So can you tell us a little bit about your family and a little bit about yourself as well?
Okay. Perhaps my story is not so interesting than my wife's story, but I have here a few pictures. First of all, from my grandparents. This, I'm sure this is my grandmother. She was the mother of my father. And this has to be one or two generations back. They called him Ish Horowitz, because my grandmother was a Horowitz from home.
And were they from Antwerp?
No, they didn't live in Antwerp. We were, this is, here are my parents, my sister, and my brother Oliver Sholem. He was younger. Okay.
And where did your family come from?
My parents came both from Krakow, and they met in Antwerp, and they married in Antwerp. The story of my mother's side is that her parents also came from Poland, but my grandfather was a soldier in the Polish army, and in 17 he was liberated, and he already sent his wife and 4 children to Holland, because in Holland there was a community in Scheveningen. It's a very known community. I met a lot of people that were living there before the war. So, but my grandfather left Poland in 17, and he died on the way, because he had, we suppose he had typhus or something like this, and he didn't survive. So my grandmother survived with 4 children, 2 boys and 2 girls. Because they had no parents, so my uncle had to go and work for the family, and also my mother, when she was very young, she went to the diamond business, because in Amsterdam, that's not far from Scheveningen, there was a diamond business, diamond bourse and a diamond. So she was a cleaver. She was cutting the diamonds one. It was very, in those times, that was not the same shape as today. It was very small, very thin, and that was her work. And she made her, and afterwards, why I don't know, but she went also to school in Holland. And afterwards they went, because I suppose that, there was also a big problem with the bourse in Amsterdam, because the authorities, they wanted that everything in the diamond was written down in books. But you can't, every stone, you can't write it down. You have to have a few people to be busy with this. So the diamond business went to Antwerp. That was in the 20s. My grandmother came to Holland in the 16th. So my father also, when he was very young, he came to Antwerp. He was 16 years old. It was in 1912. Yes. In 1912, I have papers where he went to the area, to
municipality. The municipality.
To have his papers, and there is written down that his father was living in a street in Krakow named Krakowska, number 9. And when later on we went to visit Krakow with my family, we went to visit Poland with grandchildren, and we were living in Krakowska number 6. But on this time we didn't know that it was so near where my grandparents were living.
9, it was the same. 9, it was on the same.
9, 7,
No, not only on the same side.
Incredible. It was on the same side of the street. But we rented there an apartment for a bigger weekend, and there, when I was making Kiddush, I was thinking all the people that were living here before me, before the war, also making Kiddush, because on the street, on the houses, you can still find the places where there were mezuzahs. It was engraved. But the Germans, when they left, and after the communists, they took out all the mezuzahs, but there are still signs of the mezuzahs. Okay, that is already. My parents married in 1932 in Antwerp. With the Rav was then Rav Brot, I think. And they had 3 children. My sister was the oldest one, and then me, and then my brother. He passed away. It's now already 10, 11 years ago. That's also a story. We were educated as that's what they call today Mizrahi. My father was putting on tefillin every day. He was going to shul, not every day, but on Shabbos.
Which shul was he a member of?
There were a lot of, before the war, they went to a shul. We were living in Gitzkotelei. Gitzkotelei, that's in Bergen. That's something outside the town of Antwerp. There was also a little community. There were a lot of Jews living in the neighborhood, and they had a few shulim. They had a few synagogues. That was Stieblach, that was not synagogues. Stieblach, and in one of those Stieblach we were davening. I don't remember before the war, nothing. But when the war started, the Germans went in Belgium on June 40, but it was very quick. They invaded Belgium, and they came also to Antwerp. And in the beginning there was nothing happened about the Jews, but we knew that the Germans were they had it against the Jews. So in the beginning, nothing happened, but when they, in 42, when they decided in Wannsee to destroy the Jewish people, they started to make laws in Antwerp. First of all, not to go by tram, not to go in the shops, not to go to theaters, to cinemas, and even my father was in the diamond business, and he went every day to the Bourse. In the beginning, they could make the businesses, but afterwards the Germans, the Gestapo came in, and they arrested a lot of Jews, and they took away the goods from the Jews, the diamonds from the Jews, and so little bit. They also asked every Jewish man to register. And they promised that when they will register, they will receive more tickets for food. And also on a certain point, they asked the men to come to the German Gestapo, and they will send them to work in Germany or in France. And my late mother said, that's it, you are not going to Germany, you are not going to work, we are going to flee from Antwerp. That was in 42.
And how old were you at this time?
What?
How old were you?
I was born in 34, so in 42 I was 8 years old. And my sister was 9. She's 1.5 years older than me. And my brother was born in 1940. So in 42 he was a little baby. So in 42, I suppose that my father could find some passeurs, some people that can bring you to France, to the free zone. You know that in France there was one occupied by the Germans, and in the south there was a free zone that was the president there was Marshal Pétain, and the Jews could live there something like more freer than in the occupied territories. And we flew from Antwerp to Lyon. But what I can remember, that when we left the house where we were living in Antwerp, that was a three-story houses. Every story there was an apartment, and we took the first tram. That's the Rakevet Akalat, or how they called it today, from home. The first one was leaving at 5 o'clock in the morning, something like this, and you can imagine that 3 children coming down. There was no elevator, coming down by the stairs, making a little bit noise. And I remember I was looking afterwards what was happening. I saw the people from downstairs opening the violon and looking what was happening. But nothing came from this. But they knew that we were fleeing.
Were they Jewish neighbors?
No, they were not Jewish. And we with the train, we arrived in the Antwerp station. There, a passeur. No, we had to join a passeur from Brussels. So we took the train in Antwerp. From Antwerp to Brussels, it's something like a half an hour travel. But in those days, the trains were not like today, but there were compartments. So every compartment, we were sitting in the compartments with other people, and the Gestapo came in to look the papers from every traveler. My father, before we left Antwerp, he made false papers, false identification cards. So my name is Lemberger, and to have it very easy, he changed it from Van Lemberger to Van Limburgen, from Lemberger to Van Limbergen. That's very close to the same name, but that's a Belgian name, it's a Goyish name, it's not a Jewish name. So he had papers from this, but you never know what the Gestapo will see. Perhaps they will see there are not real papers. So my father stand up and took his case, because we flew with a case, and he was opening the case and was looking everything, and the Gestapo didn't ask him nothing. So that I see that's one of the nissim that happened to us.
One of the miracles.
It's a miracle, yes, a miracle. And okay, then we arrived to Brussels. From there, we were, I don't remember a lot of this, but we arrived in Lyon. I know another story, but I don't remember it, but my sisters told us that we went in a hotel. There were all the hotel for this night were Jewish, because every Jew was fleeing to Lyon. And in the middle of the night, the Gestapo came and arrested all the people from this hotel. And so in the morning, when we came down, the owner of the hotel said to us, "What are you doing here? The Gestapo was here, was taking everybody." We don't know what happened, but we were saved. And I suppose that's also a miracle. Okay, and then we arrived in Lyon. We arrived, there was a synagogue where all the people were concentrated, and they helped us to give us food and everything. But we were looking to hide somewhere in France. So we're looking for people to help us. I suppose my father had diamonds and he paid for with the diamonds. And I remember that we were walking. No, let's tell something else first. In the beginning, the Jewish community asked the parents with children from our age, 8 and 9, to send us to a convent with sisters, a Catholic or convent. And they sent us there. But I suppose that we were very unhappy. So one day my sister decided to take me and to go back from there to Lyon. I don't remember nothing from this, but my sister told me that we went back. Imagine 2 small children. Perhaps it was 2 kilometers, 5 kilometers, I don't know, from the town. And my sister found the address where my parents were living. I say that's also some miracle. But I jump a little bit farther. When my father was looking for for a passeur to go back, to hide at the Resistance. We went to streets in London,
Not in London.
in Lyon, on the main street. That was very dangerous to go because they saw that we were not local people, but we are refugees. So we took a street parallel, you say it in English, where we could go easier and quieter. I remember the street because there were only houses from one store, something like this, and all the houses were white. And I remember till today the houses. So after the war, when we were married already, when we went to Switzerland for vacation, going back, we were not far from Lyon. So we went there to look if it was imagination from me or not. And we found the street with the white houses. Okay, so in 42, when we were in this street, we were already just with my parents, my sister and me and my little brother. And the Gestapo came and asked us the papers. But we were together with another Jewish family. At least there were one child, perhaps two children, I don't know. And they asked the papers, but we were two families. So the Gestapo was asking the papers from the other family. And we were waiting like, and the guy, from the second family, the father said to my father, "Heulers, go." So my father realized something was wrong, and we flew from this place. And the Gestapo had to take all of this family, or our family. And later they took them, and we never heard about them, what happened.
You don't know what happened?
No, we never know what happened. Okay?
Yeah.
And when we, and then at the beginning at a time that we went from one village to another, I suppose we were helped by the Resistance, and from there I can't remember nothing. It's like a blackout. I don't remember nothing. I remember that we came back in Antwerp in 45, and they sent me back to the Tarkemoni. I left the Tarkemoni school in 42 in the second class, and in 45 when I came back, they put me in the third class. So in the 3 years, I was only one. That's the class, yes. And that's me here in the circle.
And that was your bar mitzvah in 1947?
My bar mitzvah was in 1947 in a little shul on the Lange Kibbutz.
Of his bar mitzvah.
The bar mitzvah.
On the Lange Kibbutzstraat. That's a little shul that's people like Mizrahi, it's a kind of Mizrahi people. And we were davening there. And after my bar mitzvah, the shul disappeared because it was very far from the Jewish center. And we went to another shul, the Terlisstraat. That's a bigger shul. And afterwards we took an apartment not far from the big shul in Antwerp, the Oostenstraat, the big shul from the Machzikadas, and there we were davening years, a lot of years.
But Tzvi, can I ask you, when you were still in France, well, what do you remember before the liberation, or?
I don't remember nothing. I tell you, it's a blackout. I don't know how, nobody can tell me.
And your sister?
Even my sister doesn't remember nothing. So I can tell you nothing about this period.
Did your parents ever talk to you about it?
No.
They never spoke about it?
No.
This is the Bnei Akiva in 1952.
Just a moment.
Bnei Akiva in 52.
That's it, but in 62 when we went.
52, wow.
50.
And did you ever ask your parents about how you managed to survive during from 42 till the end of the war?
And after the war, my parents, we came back in Antwerp, and my father went back to the Bourse, and he made.
And from your parents' family, from your extended family, did many survive, or?
Yes, I told that first of all, from my father's side, nobody escaped from Poland during the war. Only my father went to Antwerp in the 20s. But brothers, parents, the parents were already dead. But the sisters, I know he had 4 sisters and a brother, and they didn't survive. But on my mother's side, she had a sister and 2 brothers. One brother was deported, and his wife, his daughter is still living here in Bnei Brak, and I have contact with her. I see her every few months on the telephone and so on. And she is Hasidische. She has, Gott sei Dank, something like, I don't know how many, seven children, and every 7 children they have also 7 children like this, and they have also, so she has, Baruch Hashem, a lot of grandchildren and great-grandchildren. My sister she married also Baba Vachusset, and her children are also religious. One is living, the 2 boys they married to London, and they are living in London, in Golders Green.
No, in Stamford Hill.
In Stamford Hill, excuse me. And her daughter went to live in Muncie. And now, because of the corona and every problem, my sister is now living also there in America. But until the corona, she was living in Antwerp. And she married the second time. And she has contact also with the children of her second husband. He passed away a few years ago, and at the age of 93. She took care of him very, very good. Coming back to me, I went to the Bnei Akiva, and there I met my wife, and we married in 62. And we had, Baruch Hashem, 2 children, both religious, living now in Israel, and they have all one son has 6 children, and one son has 2 children, and we have already 5 great grandchildren. The biggest one is 9 years old, and the smallest one is 2 years old.
3.
3 years already?
And yesterday.
Wow.
Helena 2 ans.
Ah, il est.
Il est
Un
là.
an et demi. Un an et 3 mois.
1.5. Okay, that's what my story is.
And here you have these pictures. If you could show what is with these pictures.
This is in France.
This is when you were in France.
That's where I live, walking with a friend in Antwerp, and that was also some excursion with from a few friends. This is me and 2 friends. He is already passed away, and here is also
If you could
my
just,
sister.
if you could just show. See? So these were from 1943 till 1946.
No, that's yeah, something like this.
And in the bottom, the souvenirs.
Here,
On the next page with the family.
that's my father, my mother, my sister, me, and my little brother.
And the picture above.
That's an excursion somewhere.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Wow.
And this is Bnei Akiva. This is a picture from Bnei Akiva.
Wow. So Tzvi, if your mother, when the Germans wanted to sign to register, if because she didn't allow your father,
Yes, she
that
didn't allow
basically
to-
saved the whole family.
Yes,
Yes.
and my mother wasn't a politician or something like this. I don't know. She had a intuition, like a mother can have, to say no. We are staying together.
And
I
they
say
did their
that's-
decision.
That's also a miracle.
Their decision to leave Antwerp and to go to the free zone, that was also
Yes.
quite a very difficult
but,
decision to do.
A lot of people went.
We are talking now between us about one family, but don't forget that from Antwerp there were a lot of people fleeing to the free zone, and from there a lot went to Switzerland, and also they also were in the resistance, hidden by the resistance. So, you know, when I tell to you my story, for you it's something very special, but for us, you know, there were a lot of people. They had almost the same story, more or less. You understand my?
But there were many that didn't. There were many that unfortunately didn't flee and were.
Unfortunately, a lot were deported, of
Yeah.
course, from Antwerp. Something like there was in Antwerp like 25,000 Jews living before the war, and I don't remember exactly the numbers, but a few thousand came back. So that they were deported and didn't come back. I remember that in my house, in our house, in my parents' house, there were people coming a few times in the week, and they were telling about what happened during the war. But you know, young people were not interested to hear what they are telling. But you know, my sister was married with Bob that I told you. He was a little bit older. When he came back from afterwards, when he came back to Antwerp, his life was before the war and after the war. But during the war, he never told a lot. when he married his children, yes, I have to invite this and this people because we were before the war. That is 20 years later, because I was in contact with him before the war. There was a life before the war and there was a life after the war.
And your parents, they always remained from?
Yes, yes, of course. My mother didn't have a sheitel because in those times few people had sheitels. The sheitel came later, and my grandmother had a sheitel, yes. And afterwards, my children also they married with their wives. They're covered.
Wow. So I want to ask you both, Tzvi and Evelyn, if I had to ask you, what message do you give to your children and grandchildren? What message? I mean, you both experienced the Shoah, you both are survivors. What message do you give to the future generations?
I think personally what we pass, they have to remember and to be like they are, religious. This is very important. And in my opinion, this is, don't forget from where your parents, your parents, no, but your grandparents, your great-grandparents passed before. And I think it's you have to be strong and to take integrity of the Jewish people. You have to be Jewish.
Yes, and I think that's our message for the future generation. Not to forget that we are Jewish, to live like Jews, and don't reject things from Israel. Israel is our land. Israel is holy, and we have to keep it. And that's my message. And I hope come a time that Mashiach will come and that we'll live in peace here with the Arabs and everybody here in the region.
Thank you so much. So Tzvi, I want to thank you so much. So really, Tzvi, really thank you, and Evelyn, thank you both so much for sharing your stories. I know it wasn't easy, but it's very, very profound and very moving, and I'm extremely grateful.
You'll see all the pictures of my children, grandchildren.
This is the biggest nachas.
This is the biggest nachas, like you said.
And you know, it's the biggest revenge. It's the mamish. It's the biggest revenge.
This is what my mother said to me.
It's also that's one son and that's the other son.
It's wonderful. And then
No, only deux enfants.
You can be so proud. Wow. You can both be so proud, and thank you so very much.
Yes, here was a nice picture of my mother with all the family together. This is when she have all the 5 generations.
It's very, very special. Wow. So you should just continue to have mazel bracha and nachas. All the very best.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And Evelyn, thank you so much.
Thank you for taking your time.